Hello everyone, this is LaRon Brown with P575 in week 4 with my video response. And the first question states, this is on stress management or stressors or whatnot, and vocational stress management. Um, what professional career are you currently in or intend to pursue? Right now, I'm a coach. I'm an assistant track and field coach at the community college level and an adjunct instructor. Specifically identify five sources of stress you think those in this career typically encounter. And the book defines stress as a substantial imbalance between demand, physical and/or psychological, and response capability. Under the conditions where failure to meet the demand has important consequences. And in this line of work, um, your job initially is a huge stressor. It's on the line if you're not producing. Um, Especially at the university level. The more the more prestigious the program. As far as winning and placing at conference and championship, and the athletic department, the athletic director, coaching. Some of these jobs are year to year, and I've been in that situation before. But that's always a stressor. But when I first read this, the first on my top five or the first one I put was grades. Grades is always at the community college level. Grades is always a stressor to me, um, because you got to depend on these kids to pass their classes in order to compete. And at the beginning of your season, you can look great with all the talent that you have. They don't pass their classes, then they don't compete. So I'm always stressing about grades over the throughout the year. Second is eligibility. Um, because in order to be eligible, you got to pass your classes. And then as much as I talk to the kids and I can give them grade checks or whatnot, and they tell me certain things that might not be the case. Um, when eligibility comes around, when the semester ends and final grades go out. So grades and eligibility are stressors for me. Another one is performance outcome. For my athletes as a coach, you tell your athletes throughout the year to trust in the process, to believe in your program, to believe in you or whatever, and think that you're teaching are right. And so, and you always you know your work, you know what you've done, you know what's worked in the past, and you're confident in your work too. But it's always that for me when I get to certain events, like at the state championships, I was like, man, I hope this girl's ready. My athlete. And I was just like, we did this, we did that, and you just going down a checklist and reassuring yourself that you did everything right. And that first jump will tell you a lot about how that competition is going to go. Um, and that's a stressor for me too. So especially given the fact that I'm new to this school, new to this program, new with these athletes. And these are every year. I'm at a community college level, so every year I got freshmen coming in, and then that's a learning year as well. So it's always a bit of a stressor, to actually see if your work is going to play out or pan out the way you had planned to. So normally it does. So now, number four is maintaining good health, maintaining health, making sure that athletes are taking care of their bodies. I'm to the point to where now I get to get on campus or before practice, and I'll walk by the training room just to make sure the athletes who need attention for their injuries are getting it, and they're taking initiative and going to the trainers and getting treatment before practice and preparation for practice. Preparation is key. You got to take care of the body, and I think that's a stressor for me too, because over the past year or so, there's been miscommunication, misinformation, and I just want to make sure that everything is okay. So I just cruise by, make sure I look to see who's in there, what time they came in, if they came in, if they did not come in, if they did they get treatment on what's hurting, whatever it is. So that's always an important factor for me, but a stressor too. And a big stressor for me is that I think about a lot is just peaking on time. I designed my program to where my athletes will peak their performance at conference or postseason. That's when it's supposed to be. That's when the athletes are really start to compete. That's when the competition stiffens up, and all the jumps and sprinting events. That's when everything really matters, and that's what we train for. So But I just want to, it's huge stress throughout the year because you have so much going on and so many changes on your training program. It's like, well, I wanted to do this today, but I can't because of these circumstances or whatever the situation is. So your plan deviates a little bit, but at the same time, you're just like, well, I'm going to supplement it with this, and I hope this, still works. Whatever I need them to peak on time or whatever. So that's pretty much my top five. So grades, eligibility, performance outcome, maintaining health, and peaking on time. Um, and identify specific needs to prevent and treat these stressors. I think it's just more so just being confident in your art, as far as coaching goes, and your program, and doing your research, and just trying to stay calm. Taking things one day at a time, not overthinking situations. And I think that'll be those are great resources. I mean, I and take your time to just like slow down, try to find an hour or two, whatever it is, maybe a half a day or a day to just unwind and relax and just let go let go of track for a piece of the day. Um, because I mean, if you're into coaching and teaching or whatever it is, you're consumed by it. You do that 40 hours a week or whatever the situation is, and that's just at work. You go home, you think about things, you're writing programs and designing your curriculum or whatever it is. You need to just find time to just unwind and relax, and just like kick back a little bit, maybe go for a walk, for a run, work out, read a book, ride a bike, like take a nap, spend time with family, friends, whatever the situation is. And I think those are just great stress management factors that to help you get through that time period. Um, Grades and eligibility, honestly, it's I think it's always going to be a stressor because you stress. I stress to my students like, hey, if you guys don't pass your classes, you cannot compete. That's the number one. It's the biggest thing to me. So I mean, that's always going to be there unless you just find some kids who are just like you, who just have it. And a lot of times you get those kids, but at the community college level, it's kind of like suspect. So you just got to really just stay on them about it. And in this passage, while most major translations of the Bible don't specifically use the word stress, it's distress, just your speed. Tell, considering these verses, what biblical advice can you integrate into your stress prevention and stressment? Well, it says right here in first of all in Matthew 6:25, it said, where do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. That's I think that's a great verse to assess this assignment. Worry about today. Worry about what you control, and deal with it at that time. And I kind of do that to an extent. But in preparation for the future and whatnot, you kind of want to work ahead of yourself too. But I think that's a great verse. Each day has enough trouble of its own, and if you can tackle that for that day, then you can just deal with that, and then you can move on to the next day. Right? The next day might be better in the first place. But I think that's a great passage. I mean, um, I think that pretty much sums it up for me. Just take care of what you can for that day. Um, Try to relieve stress by taking yourself away from the work environment for a bit of that day or a time period if you ever have time, whatever it is. Maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe if it's an hour, 2 hours, half a day, a full day, whatever it is. Take that time to just relax and just live life to your standards, to whatever you do, away from work. And then you go back the next day or whatever it is, and then you just hit it hard. All right. Thank you. Merry Christmas.